Shame on the WNBA. Truly, this is a league that has heard cries out for changing in officiating, not just throughout the postseason, but over the last few years. That we have seen so many star players go down with injury because the level of aggression that is played on these courts, and the WNBA hasn't seemed to, at least publicly, done or said anything about it. Because I understand that the WNBA has a duty as a league to hold players and coaches accountable. Okay, I get it. I understand that that's what they're doing here. Who's holding the W accountable? Because when Cheryl Reeve and Becky Hammon and Stephanie White, three of the best coaches in the league, three coaches that were coaching in the postseason, when they try to hold this league accountable, well, then you just see it there. Cheryl Reeve gets fined $15,000, and Becky Hammon and Stephanie White get fined $1,000 each for the comments that they just said right there. Stephanie White said, I think that she's made a lot of valid points. I think at some point there has to be some accountability. That's exactly what Fitz, you, and all WNBA fans are crying for. Accountability for a league that has let this go on for far too long, accountability for a league that has allowed the refs to swallow their whistles, and now the integrity of some of these games is in question because of the lack of calls that are being made. Now the integrity of the postseason is in question because we didn't get to see Nafisa Collier in an incredibly critical game 4. Nafisa Collier, one of the best players in the league, the key cog and the MVP caliber player for that Minnesota Lynx team. You see what Becky Hammon said right there. From what I heard, she did not tell a lie. She told the truth. And then Becky Hammon also said the only people who don't seem to understand what Cheryl Reeve is saying are the people who didn't watch that game. And look, I'm sure there are probably a lot of people listening to us right now that didn't watch that game. It was too much. The refs allowed some of the aggression and the physicality go on for far too long. And that is somebody who understands and actually kind of likes the fact that physicality is ratcheted up in the postseason. I like that. It's postseason hockey, football, basketball, whatever it might be. It's more aggressive. The refs swallow their whistle just a little bit more because it's the postseason. This is too far. This is too much. And while I don't mind the league holding coaches accountable and holding players accountable, my question is, when are we as a basketball society, coaches allowed to hold the league accountable? Because accountability has to happen.
And that's what we're going to do right now, because this is a joke, Caroline. Like, there's a massive difference between Cheryl Reeve sitting at the podium afterwards and going off on the officials. In every sport, you understand you're going to be fined for that. You have two other head coaches in the league that were asked about it at press conferences and reacted by saying they agreed with the statements. They did not personally make any charging statements. They did not come out and say anything against it, just agreeing with the statement. And you think you have the right to fine them $1,000 for that? What are you doing? And at the end of the day, the NBA is famous for the 2-minute report. It's one of the things that I really love about the league. They will come out and give you a report every day on what they did that could have been better, what they did that was right, what they did that was wrong. The WNBA has flat out said that they do not have the resources to create the personnel to do a 2-minute report. Well, why don't you use all these fines that you're asinine handing out to all these coaches as the way to fund it? What are you doing? You look like a joke of a league when you continue to run away from any criticism that comes from anybody that plays the sport. I cannot believe the number of big-name stars that the WNBA this year has just decided every time they open their mouth, they're going to fine for literally anything and everything. And at the same time, while they are begging everybody to essentially shut up and dribble, which is what they're asking people to do when they limit their ability to have opinion on the way the games are officiated, while they're doing that, then what are they doing with any of the resources? What are they doing to fix any of the problems? What are they doing to actually address any of it? Nothing. And they're not even being transparent in the process. So what the WNBA wants all of us to do is just put blinders on and stop talking about it. You have asked, you have begged for this league to be covered appropriately, and rightfully so, for decades. And part of being covered appropriately is understanding there will be harsh criticism when the officials you hire blow it and your officials are continually blowing it every single week, and your answer isn't to fix the problem, your answer is trying to shut up the legends that are here to help grow the game. I don't understand what the WNBA wants. Caroline, it drives me crazy watching this league function because it completely lacks common sense and it lacks awareness to how sports are covered in the modern society.
And I think the league should embrace wanting to be held to a higher standard. That this
Yes.
is a league that is now getting unprecedented amounts of investment, eyeballs, ticket prices are at an all-time high and people are still coming. So I think that the league should embrace that while that growth comes with wonderful benefits of money and recognition and conversation that we are having, visibility, that also comes with more accountability. That's all we want. That a league that we love, a league that we both cover, that we just want this to be fair. And look, Caitlin Clark has been, banged around over the last couple of years. We saw Nafisa Collier, and we just saw a tweet that popped up that the league didn't find any sort of data or any sort of correlation between officiating and injuries. Really? I mean, like, I don't really need a super smart data calculator, numbers, equations, whatever, to tell me what my eyes can tell me. And my eyes can tell me and show me that things are getting way too aggressive. And there are, maybe hard hits that accumulate over time, or maybe all it takes is one hard hit to knock a player out for the postseason. That I can see, I can watch with my own eyes watching these games. Like, why is Fee on the court for what, 30 minutes? And she shoots 2 free throws. Like, if you are officiating the game correctly, then players that play an overwhelming number of minutes, an overwhelming majority of the game, are probably getting fouled more than once or twice. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. If we want to talk about data, if we want to talk about numbers, then let's just look at the box score and see how infrequently some of these players are going to the free throw line.
When you as a league, and Kathy Engelbert, anytime you want to come on and talk to us all about this directly, I would welcome that conversation. Let me say that loudly.
Totally.
I'm not saying this because she's not here.
I'm happy to be wrong.
I think what has been lost by the WNBA is that when you become more known for fines to silence than fixing problems, what you really do is you feed conspiracy theorists. And you can say you don't care and that you're not going to listen to the outside noise and all of these things. But you feed narratives, intentionally or not, when you are not transparent in your process. So when your superstar players have podcasts and you choose to find them every time they say something that you just don't think is right, when coaches agree with statements and they get fined for it, and you become known for this at every single pass, and along the way, you aren't transparent about what you're finding, what you're seeing, what you're doing, and how you're doing it, the perception becomes reality that we all start to think that, hey, maybe the W doesn't want us to look into this or want anyone to talk about it because there's a problem and they can't fix it. Maybe suddenly what you do is you speak to the conspiracy theorists that might believe that Indiana's massive free throw discrepancy in game 3 or game 2 of the series was to force, or game 4 of the series was to force a game 5. Yeah. Thank you. I'll get it right. You feed the conspiracy theories that game 4 was essentially fixed by the league. And look, that's not something anybody wants to sit there and have a conversation about. But when your refs call it completely one-sided and then you find everybody involved in the process, what you do is you feed into conspiracy theories. If you put out a 2-minute report, if you tell everybody transparently what you're finding, if you talk about the officiating, you fix all of that. I just think what the W doesn't understand more often than not is that they're actually making their own lives more difficult in the way they're being covered